once again, we can start at the very, very most simple way to look at this game, which is UNC, just like they were against Notre Dame, is on a win by any means necessary situation. People like me, people like the fan base will complain and debate and break down a win if it's by one, like we did after Notre Dame. But what a win does by an inch or a mile, what it does is it gives you more time to figure out whatever the heck is going on or whatever the heck your solution is going to be to some problems that have emerged. If you get a win, you kick the deadline into the future a few more days. So it is a win by any means necessary situation. If you have to go, like we said earlier, Tom Thibodeau and play 6 guys the whole game because those are the ones that are getting it done, you do it. If you shorten the rotation, if you lean on the freshmen, if you got to play 4 corners and wait to the end of every shot clock, whatever it is, you do it.
We saw Hubert Davis back in their national championship game run a couple of years ago basically go 6 guys.
If that's what you are backs against the wall, even though it's January 7th. You are backs against the wall, win by any means necessary. I have to give a shout out to Cheryl McMillan of Inside Carolina because he tweeted this out.
Okay.
When I'm talking about like the problems that you need to address, this illustrates it very well. McMillan tweeted, since 1951, so we're going a ways back here.
A little bit of time ago.
Every single Carolina team since 1951 has had at least one player average 5.6 or more rebounds per game. Every single team since the mid-19th century has had at least one player average 5.6 rebounds per game. That includes the era when you could go 4 corners and make a couple possessions. That includes the era of non-3-point shooting. It gets introduced. It includes every era. They've had at least one player average 5.6 rebounds per game. As of right now, no one on North Carolina's roster is averaging 5 rebounds per game. Jalen Washington, exactly. Jalen Washington leads the team with 4.9 rebounds per game. There's your problem. There it is, right? That's the arc of it. That's showing what is wrong. You can get by as a small team if you rebound above your weight class. You can get by as a small team if you shoot the 3 extremely well. There's nothing that says you need to have 6'10", 6'11", 7-footers to contend, but there are certain things that you need to be able to make up for if you're going to be a small team. One of them is rebounding. There's really only 2 ways to do it. One, you rebound what I call above your weight class, right? You're more aggressive, you hustle more, you box out more, you're in better position, and you rebound with taller teams, even though you're not the same size, length, everything else. The other is you shoot such a high percentage that you don't miss shots, so there's less rebounding to go around. That's the challenge. That's in and of it, like there's the mission. Right? I don't know why. Every time I say there's the mission, I think there's a whose line is it anyway game where it's like, oh, your mission is, you have to find a way to rebound with the bigger teams. This message will self-destruct as soon as you. That's your mission. It's simple. How do you solve it? Yeah, if I had that answer, I'd be wearing cool shoes and Carolina blue blazers like Hubert Davis. It's not easy, but you've put yourself in this situation. Right? There's 0% chance, and this is a credit to UNC. It's a credit to the basketball program. It's a credit to everything they have going on. They could have gotten a big guy in some form of recruiting, right? They could have gotten a starting quality big out of the portal or out of high school or somewhere because they're North Carolina. If you struck out on some gigantic, massive 5-star recruits, you could have got the 3-star starter, the 4-star starter. So there's an element of you chose to be here, now you got to make it work. I also have thought about this. Seth Trimble, by the way, expected to be back today.
Yeah, I know he just started practicing. Hubert Davis talked about it yesterday that he's got at least one full practice in, I think.
They're hoping his effectiveness, his minutes, we'll have to wait and see. But that's fascinating because the last time Seth Trimble played was against UCLA. That was the first of 4 consecutive games that Ian Jackson has scored 23 or more. So in the 3 games Trimble's missed, the team has inherently changed, especially on the perimeter. Where does Seth Trimble fit in? And here's something, I don't know if it's crazy. Here's something that might be crazy. But the answer may have been right under our nose. Like we may be looking on the horizon and we just need to look maybe behind us. The returning UNC contributors from last season, I think they may have been used the best way for their skill sets last season. Seth Trimble, what was he last year for UNC? He was a great defender. He was a sparky offensive player, a little streaky, but he would try to dunk on you. He would try to get out in transition. He would try to use his athleticism. This year, especially when he was healthy, he was more volume scorer. I don't think that's the best way to use him. I think it's better if he gets his offense on the defensive end. RJ Davis, what was he last year? Even if we couldn't really tell, talking with players in the ACC, they've kind of confirmed this. He was playing off of another great player, taking advantage of great looks when the defense focused on Armando Bacot. This year, he's been more of a focal point of the offense, hasn't shot the same percentage. Elliot Cadeau, what was he last year? He was the ultimate setup man. Looking twice to pass before once to shoot. I think they may want to look more into the realm of the roles they were playing last year. In a weird way, and this is where I said it might sound crazy, I think you kind of have to use Ian Jackson to replace Armando Bacot and Drake Powell to replace Harrison Ingram. Now you may be going, wait a second, you're taking the point guard and you're replacing.
I say one's much bigger than the other.
Yeah, exactly. It's you're not replacing him as far as a rebounder. You're not replacing him as far as a back to the basket scorer, Ian Jackson for Armando Bacot, but you're replacing him as the gravitational pull. He's the one that can be effective despite the opposing team making him their number one priority to stop. And once that happens, once the other team knows you're going to be the guy taking the most shots, we need to focus on you, that is what opens up RJ Davis for the good looks that he was used to a season ago. That's what allows Seth Trimble to crash the boards, use his athleticism to rebound, because I mentioned Jalen Washington is the leader in rebounds. Seth Trimble is second in per-game rebounds. He can be, because he can leap, one of those guys that can go down there and help a small team rebound against bigger teams. And then Drake Powell to Harrison Ingram, part of that is just a body. Like, he can do a little bit of everything, right? Harrison Ingram was the guy, if you needed rebounds, he walked out of there with 19 rebounds. You needed shooting, he walked out of there with 3 of 5 from 3. Drake Powell has a bit of that Swiss Army knife where he can change his role game to game. Most players simply can't do that. They just don't have every tool in their toolbox.
I'm curious to see tonight if we're going to get the lineup on the floor that we saw Hubert Davis used against UCLA, where you had Cadeau, Davis, Jackson, Seth Trimble all on the floor together, and whether it was Van Allen Lubin or Jalen Washington or Jalen Withers down in the post as the 5, basically like 4 and 1. I'm wondering if we're going to see those 4 guards on the floor at different times tonight, because it was effective against UCLA, because UCLA had not seen it yet, and other teams really haven't seen it yet. I'm curious to see if Hubert Davis is going to draw something up with those 4 on the floor.
I hope so. I mean, there's no reason to be precious with the lineup now, right? I'd try it.
The margin for error is razor thin for UNC basketball right now.
You kind of have to roll through the conference if you want to be in an at-large conversation.
You really do.
And not be just at the point where we got to win the ACC tournament to get in.